Hello and welcome back. Now we want to talk about the different kinds of environments in which rocks are metamorphosized. And so I've got written here the different ways that they are metamorphosized. So let's first talk about regional metamorphism. So for regional metamorphism, you're going to need to have both heat and pressure. And so there are several different places where that can occur. So it could occur at a subduction zone where you've got the continent and then another plate is going underneath it. So it would be subjected to pressure. The deeper it goes, it would be subjected to more and more temperature. So that would be a place where you could find metamorphic rocks. You could also find metamorphic rocks at a convergent zone where you've got two continents coming together. So that would be pushed up, and again, that would be an example of regional metamorphism where it would be very hot and you would have lots of pressure. You could also have at a convergent zone where it's an ocean colliding with an ocean. So where one ocean is going underneath the other ocean, you would have extreme pressures and extreme temperatures there. So basically at your convergent zones is going to be places where you're going to have regional metamorphism. Okay, then what about contact metamorphism? So for this one, we don't really want pressure, but we do want to have extreme heat. And so one way of doing this would be at, like, let's say a hot spot where you've got this molten material that's coming up, and it could be heating up the rocks around it as it's coming up and metamorphosizing them. So that would be one way of making marble out of limestone, and it could be a way of making quartzite out of sandstone, for example. So just heat is metamorphosizing things. So anywhere that you have a hot spot or you have a magma emplacement, there's a good chance that you could have contact metamorphism. Okay, hydrothermal. All right, so you need two things for this. The hydro, so you're going to need to be, there's got to be a place where there's lots of water, and then it's got to be a place where it's very hot. So a good place for this would be at a divergent zone where you've got hot material coming up. It then heats up the water from the ocean so that ocean water can percolate. It can get into the rocks. It could be heated up by that hot material coming up, and then as that hot water comes up, it can hydrothermally metamorphosize rocks. You could also have this, like for example at Yellowstone National Park, where you would have geysers. Again, hot water coming up through the rocks, metamorphosizing them. Then you got burial, and so this is just going to be where materials are going to be buried underground. They don't have to be heated up, and it's just going to be the weight of all of that rock and stuff on top of it, compressing it down, metamorphosizing it. So we mentioned the formation of coal as being an example of this, but it doesn't have to be organic material. So basically any kind of a rock, when you subject it to burial and the weight of rock on top of it, it can alter that rock, and then you end up with burial metamorphism. Okay, fault metamorphism. So you need to have faulting. You need to have places where rocks are rubbing up against other rocks. So there's all sorts of different kinds of faults. You can have, we're going to find out in a future lesson that you have, for example, a normal fault where one section of the ground slides down like this, and so you're going to again have two rocks that are rubbing up against each other. You could have it where one rock is going up against the other rock, and that's going to be a reverse fault. You could also have where rocks are sliding past each other like that. So that's going to be a strike fault when that happens. So these tend to happen wherever faulting is going to occur, and also at transform boundaries where you got one entire plate that is rubbing up against another plate. And then you can see also you have impact. So an impact would be where an asteroid or a comet impacts with the Earth, and that can metamorphosize rocks. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about metamorphic features.